Hi boys and girls, today I'm going to demonstrate value and changing a color's value with white or black. Hopefully you just watched the value song and it's a catchy song, so hopefully it's stuck in your head. But you should have learned that with a color value, and value in our Elements of Art poem goes like this. It's one of the 7 elements of art. Value, when you create a light value, you call it a tint, and typically you add white. And the darker value is called a shade, and typically we add black or maybe brown or gray, depending on the color that you are changing. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint some color values on here. This will not be your finished project. This will be the step 1 for our final project. We're going to be making these birds inspired by an artist named James Rizzi, but we'll get to that later. So you want to take your paper, and ideally you want a thicker piece of paper. Watercolor paints will rip through thin paper, so if you have some thicker paper at home, if it's not white, it has a color that might be okay. Try to find a thicker paper if you can. So when we paint, we want the Fab Four. We need our paintbrush, paper towel, water cup, and our paints, of course. So you need to divide your paper into 3 spaces. So I drew 2 lines down my paper, 1, 2, 3, and on one of them, on the left side here, I have a W for white, which will be my tint. Leave the middle empty, and then a B for black on the opposite side. So we'll have a light, a color, and a dark value. So in the middle, you just want to pick any color that you like to paint in the middle. And when you use watercolor paints, you want to wake up the paint. So I'm just going to use blue, and when I wake it up, I just add a little bit of water in the middle, and I want to use the tippy toes of my paintbrush. And I'm using a mama brush because it's a big space, so I'm just going to paint this blue. And my blue right now is a little lighter because I have a decent amount of water on my brush. So with watercolor, the less water you use, the darker it's going to get. The more water you use, the lighter it's going to get. So that would be one way to change the color value here. But we're also going to use some actual paint. Now you guys in your art kits at home that you got from the school, they do have a tube of white paint that you want to get out for this. Or if you have a different watercolor set, you can use that. If you have some tempera paints at home, the thicker style paints, you can also use those as well. We would be using the tempera paints in school if we were doing this together. So there is my middle color, my blue. And I'm going to clean my paintbrush in my water and my paper towel to make sure that I get a lot of that off. Now I'm going to wake up my blue again because I want to make my tint and my lighter value. So I'm going to take my blue, and this time I don't have to put it across my whole paper because I'm going to take some white. Now it is a little lighter, but I'm going to take some white now, and it's really important to clean your paintbrush before the white, because white is so pretty in your sets and so fragile. And I'm going to wake that up and try and keep it nice and clean for the next time I want to use it. Now I'm going to take the white, I'm just going to mix it in. And I'm hoping to get a lighter value of blue than I have in the middle. And you can go all the way up to the top and all the way down to the bottom of your paper. And I'm painting all in one direction. That looks like a nice light blue, tint of blue. Now on my opposite side, my shade, okay, for the black. I'm gonna clean my brush and dry it on my paper towel. I'm going to use black. So because I use blue, I'm going to use black for my shade. If you are using like a yellow or an orange, you might want to try using brown instead. The black's just going to be a little too intense. Any color that's already light to begin with, you're better off sticking maybe with a brown or a gray. Now, you're saying I don't have a gray, so what makes gray? Well, it's a tint of black. So I'm going to wake up my black. I'm putting a little puddle of water in my black. Okay, and I'm actually going to take my paintbrush and dab some of that off onto the paper towel because there's a lot of black in there right now. And if I just paint it lightly and have a decent amount of water on my paintbrush, that's going to give me like a nice gray. Okay, so that would be good to use if you're doing the yellow, or like if you started out with a lighter green or pink even. Okay, I would use the gray. I'm going to darken mine just a little bit since my blue is a little darker. So you can see I'm just putting some streaks of the black. You don't want a lot of black, okay? Once you put the black down, you can't go back from it. You can't erase it. So just a little bit of black. You can always add more if you think you need it. So I'm cleaning my brush again. Lots of cleaning to keep my paint set clean. And now I'm coming back with the blue, and I'm putting the blue on top of the black. And we want to work kind of quickly because you don't want the paints to dry. If the black would dry, then when I paint the blue on top, it doesn't mix very well. So we have to work kind of speedy, which I'm not so good at, so bear with me. And I'm going all the way up, all the way down, the same stroke, just like when we color something. We want to pick a direction and stick with it. Now, that looks like a shade. I'm just going to throw in just a tiny bit more black. Whoop. And get my blue on top just to darken it a little bit. So you can always add more black if you think it needs to be a little bit darker. So that's all I need you to do. And like I said, this isn't your finished project. We're going to be using this for something else. So hang on to this for the next step. And now you've had some experience practicing making different values. All right, have a great day. See you guys.